Hello, my name is Mercedes Kamek, and this is my presentation over protective prayer and religious expression in schools. The purpose of today's presentation: I was asked to review the current board policies regarding all things religious in nature within the school district, and then present that to the board with laws regarding religion in school. Please note this presentation is not a representation of my personal beliefs, but rather factual in nature in regards to religion and belief within schools. The facts used for this presentation are being obtained from Pew Research Center along with the U.S. Department of Education. Progression of religion in school debate has been going on for quite some time. It began in the 19th century when Protestants and Catholics debated Bible reading and prayer in public schools. In 1844, the Catholics were upset with the Protestants for using the King James Version of the Bible for the school's reading materials. Because of that, people died and Catholic churches were burned. In 1850s, there was a conflict that continued similar to 1844, and this took place in Boston and other New England areas. In the early 20th century, the debate between liberal Protestants and their secular allies over students being taught Charles Darwin's theory of evolution within biology class took place. And in 1940 and 1947, the ruling of Cantwell versus Connecticut took place in 1940, and Everson versus Board of Education of Ewing Township took place in 1947. And these were both first times that the Supreme Court stepped in, stating that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Continued progression of religion. McCollum versus Board of Education happened in 1948. The religious instructors from different denominations were invalidated during this court case. Zorak versus Clausen, 1952. Students from public schools could be excused from school to attend religious classes. Then in 1962, Enville versus Vital, they prohibited school-sponsored prayer. In 1992, Supreme Court declared that a clergyman's benediction at a public school event would violate the separation of church and state. In 2000, the Supreme Court prohibited school-sponsored prayer at high school football games. And in 2010, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals reversed the district court decision, ruling that the recitation of the pledge did not constitute an establishment of religion. Religion and curriculum. Students can and have every right to read their Bibles, Torahs, Korans, or other scriptures. They may say grace before meals and pray or study religious materials with fellow students during recess, the lunch hour, or other non-instructional time, to the same extent that they may engage in non-religious activities. And we discuss this later as well. Teachers may teach the Bible as literature, including critical rather than devotional readings, and allow open inquiry into the history and content of the biblical passages. Simply stated, they can teach about religion, they just cannot teach from the Bible as a scripture or lesson, such as giving religion advice. Homework, artwork, and other written and oral assignments may be created expressing beliefs about religion without being discriminated against, and no play or musical should be forced on students that may offend the religion. They are given the option to opt out if that is the case. The rights of students, parents, teachers, and administrators. Students may engage in religious activities and discussion. They may offer prayer or blessing before meals. They may assemble on school grounds for religious purposes with those who would like to assemble. There's no requirement to assemble. And they may display religious messages on items of clothing that would not offend others. They may not engage in religious harassment of others. They may not favor nor disfavor students or groups on the basis of their religious identities. Parents may enroll students in private schools. They have that option to either choose private or public schools. They may opt out of activities they find offensive to their religion. The example that we read about was things that could offend them based upon what their religious beliefs were that they were learning in school. However, they may not opt out of curriculum approved by the school and state that will increase their learning or that they are mandated to complete. Public school employees can engage in worship or any other lawful faith-based activity when they are off duty. And they are allowed to disclose their religious identity if a student is to ask them if they believe in Christmas or anything of that nature, they are allowed to answer that question. The Equal Access Act, this act requirements, there are a few requirements for this act if they are receiving federal funds. The general provisions, oh, excuse me. The general provisions, students, religious groups have the same right of access to school facilities as other comparable groups. If they're receiving funding, it's just the same as any other group that's getting funding. Prayer service and worship exercises. Meetings may include a prayer service, a Bible reading, or other worship exercise. Means of publicizing meetings. Schools must allow students groups to use school media to announce their meetings that they're being held. The lunchtime and recess. Religious student groups have the right to meet during lunch periods or other non-instructional time. And leadership of religious student groups. This allows for leadership positions to be members of a certain religion, just like any other group. With this assignment, in regards to the CLO correlation, CLO 6.3, I believe that it demonstrated correlation because I was able to review two studies that gave information regarding religion in school. Within the two resources, I was able to evaluate the laws, communicate the findings with a theoretical school board, and share the findings to help create a policy that will fit our school district. I think that with all the facts that we now have that I've presented, we'll be able to create a board. The board and I will be able to create a policy that's going to be more updated and factual. This will promote student and adult success and well-being within the district. After viewing the current policies, it was apparent that the laws have changed over time and the policies need to be updated. I evaluated the role play situation with regard to legal, ethical, and equity issues by viewing the law changes and ensuring that they were not only legal, but ethical, fair, and equal in all aspects. I analyzed how the law and policy were applied consistently, fairly, equitable, and ethically within my presentation by utilizing the resources, along with viewing the court cases that were presented throughout the articles. I communicated my policies, laws, regulations, and procedures to appropriate stakeholders by sharing the findings from these resources, and I believe that it will not only be my responsibility to monitor and ensure adherence to laws, rights, policies, and regulations in the future, but also the school board, who should also be consistent and law-abiding. At this time, I would ask if there were any questions or concerns from the school board of how we would like to progress and how we would like to create the new policies based off of the facts that were given. This assignment was relevant to my current learning because I was able to learn so much more about religion in schools. I wasn't aware of a majority of the court cases, especially the timing that took place and the amendments that took place. I didn't know most of the laws that were stated. This assignment improved my understanding of the content covered because I was a bit oblivious to what could and couldn't be done in schools in regards to religion. I didn't know about most of the parental and student rights, of which I learned about throughout this assignment. This assignment will influence the decisions I will make as a future school leader by making me aware of what can and can't be done in schools in regards to religion. I will also know the rights of students, parents, and staff, which will help in prevention of religious issues within the school. I believe that this assignment will help clear a few misconceptions in regards to religion in school, as it clarified many laws. This is always a topic of discussion. I feel like this is never ending. Religion in school has always been a topic, and I don't think that that's going to change. I'm currently in a small rural school, so there's not much discussion of religion. We're pretty quiet about religion. I cannot say we all believe in one thing or another. I just don't hear much discussion about religion. However, if this were brought up or if I took a position elsewhere, I feel like I'm more prepared.